Since our last episode, the Defender has been completely stripped down to its bare chassis. The axles, suspension, and drivetrain were all removed so we could properly inspect the foundation of the vehicle. Once exposed, the chassis went through a full repair process. We've cut out the corroded sections, we've rebuilt or reinforced before moving on to the next stage. From there, the chassis was sandblasted, stripping away decades of rust, paint, and buildup to bring the steel back to a raw surface. And finally, one of the most important steps in a long-lasting restoration is the galvanization, hot dip galvanization. What you're seeing here is the chassis being submerged into molten zinc at extremely high temperatures. The smoke and flames you notice during the process comes from residue and contaminants reacting to the heat of the zinc. This protective zinc coating helps dramatically increase corrosion resistance and preserve the chassis for years to come. And now with the foundation complete, we can finally begin rebuilding the Defender from the ground up. Okay guys, so we've completed the stripping of the car. This is now the rebuilding process. This is where the fun begins. Behind me is the galvanized chassis that we have, which is an extremely important component of doing a full-on restoration of a Defender, because restoring a Defender from the ground up is not only about bringing back an iconic vehicle that you get to enjoy, but also the whole point is the longevity of the vehicle. And we basically elongate the longevity process. Today, what you'll be seeing is that we brought our sandblasted and painted differential back to the shop and we installed it to the chassis. So let's take a look. We have the differential here and the new suspension set that we bought. This is a TerraFirma suspension set. It has a 2-inch lift kit on it. One of the things that you'll notice is every single bolt that we're using is completely new. Let's also show the bolts that are here. One thing to add why we chose the 2-inch TerraFirma suspension is because it offers a better balance between ride comfort and off-road capability and overall stance compared to a tired original OEM setup. At the same time, the vehicle is also receiving a completely new bush kit throughout the suspension, as you've seen, which eliminates unwanted vibrations and looseness, making the Defender feel significantly tighter and more controlled. As you can see, the sandblasted differential and the new paint job gives the differentials an extremely clean new look. We have the new bush kit set. These are all from Britpart. As you can see in the footage, the differentials also went through a complete restoration process as soon as we received it from the sandblasting and the paint shop. Before we assembled onto the chassis, all internal components were inspected, cleaned, lubricated, and reassembled carefully to make sure everything functions properly before the vehicle goes back on the road. A lot of this work ends up hidden once the Defender is complete, but these are the kind of details that play a major role in the long-term reliability of this vehicle. What you're seeing in the background is the front axle assembly slowly coming together. At this stage, our mechanic have started installing the swivel housings, the disc brakes, hubs, caliper components before the vehicle goes back onto its wheels. The wheels currently on the chassis that you're going to see are simply temporary placeholders used during assembly. The final wheel and tire setup for this build will be completely different. Right now, a lot of the work is focused on alignment, fitment, lubrication, and making sure every component is seated and functioning properly before final assembly is completed. Et voila! This was the final result of the first stages of reassembling the drivetrain and suspension onto the chassis. At this point, the Defender was finally back on its wheels again, which is always a very satisfying milestone during a restoration. Unfortunately, our camera battery didn't exactly survive until the end of the day, so the last few shots are just still shots that we took via our phones when everything was assembled.